Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you can zoom and yeah, tap down come with tea. I need nhom zoom group chum deep so I just dom look chum tiêu look the tea you can have some tea. We come on the boy from tiny or look looks like it need kanya peel get the youth and oh. ជាទីគោរពរាប់អាននាងខ្ញុំសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណយ៉ាងជ្រាលជ្រៅចំពោះវត្តមានដ៏ថ្លៃថ្លារបស់ភ្ញៀវកិត្តិយសទាំងអស់តាមរយៈការផ្សាយផ្ទាល់តាម Facebook របស់សារមន្ទីរជាតិកម្ពុជាថ្ងៃនេះសារមន្ទីរជាតិមានកម្ពុជាមានកិត្តិយសរៀបចំបទកថាសាធារណៈជាស៊េរីស្ដីអំពីបេតិកភណ្ឌមរតកបេតិកភណ្ឌនិងអរិយធម៌ខ្មែរដែលមានប្រធានបទស្ដីអំពីអង្កាំកែវនិងអង្កាំថ្មនៅយុគសម័យដែកនៃប្រទេសកម្ពុជាដោយលោកស្រីបណ្ឌិត Alison Kyra សាស្ត្រាចារ្យជំនួយផ្នែកនរវិទ្យានៃសាកលវិទ្យាល័យ Oregon នៅក្នុងបទកថានេះលោកស្រីនឹងបង្ហាញអំពីប្រភេទផ្សេងៗគ្នានៃអង្កាំកែវនិងអង្កាំថ្មដែលបានរកឃើញនៅក្នុងស្ថានីយ៍ជាច្រើននៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជានិងរកភស្តុតាងពីការសិក្សាអង្កាំដែលអាចឲ្យយើងនឹងដឹងពីបណ្ដាញពាណិជ្ជកម្មនិងទំនាក់ទំនងអន្តរកម្មក្នុងយុគសម័យដែកហើយនាងខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់ផងដែរថាបន្ទាប់ពីបទកថានេះនឹងមានកម្មវិធីសំណួរនិងចម្លើយដែលមានរយៈពេល30នាទីនាងខ្ញុំសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណយ៉ាងជ្រាលជ្រៅទុកជាមុនដល់ម្ចាស់សំណួរទាំងអស់ដែលលោកបានផ្ដល់ជាសំណួរជូនដល់វាគ្មិនរបស់យើងចា៎ហើយនៅក្នុងបទកថានេះនឹងនិយាយជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសហើយក៏មានបកប្រែជាភាសាខ្មែរដោយលោកប្រធានឆាយវិសុទ្ធចា៎នាងខ្ញុំសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណយ៉ាងជ្រាលជ្រៅដែលលោកបានជួយសម្រួលជាភាសាខ្មែរ So, good evening, a very warm greeting from the National Museum of Cambodia. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, each and every one of you, welcome to the National Museum of Cambodia. Today, we have an honor to conduct an online talk titled Glass and Stone Beads in Iron Age Cambodia by Alison. Kyra is an assistant professor in the Department of Anthropology at the University of Oregon. Live on Facebook of the National Museum of Cambodia. And my name is Begaljan, the MC for the talk. On behalf of the National Museum of Cambodia, I would like to extend our appreciation for your presence today. And first of all, let me introduce Alison. Kyra is an assistant professor in the Department of Anthropology at the University of Oregon, the speaker. In this talk, she will discuss the different types of glass and stone beads found at sites in Cambodia and what we can learn about trade and interaction networks during the Iron Age by studying these beads. I would like to inform that this talk will be in English language and be translated into Khmer language by Mr. Chai Visot. And without further ado, let us start our program by welcome Alison Kyra is an assistant professor in the Department of Anthropology at the University of Oregon, the speaker. Please.
Thank you so much. I'm not able to share my screen. Can you allow me to share?
Nada chuiគាត់តិច share screen. Yeah. Share again, please.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Okay, can you see?
Yes.
That's okay? Okay,
That's
good.
okay.
Okay, ជំរាបសួរលោកស្រីអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាឥឡូវនេះខ្ញុំនិយាយអំពីការស្រាវជ្រាវខ្ញុំអំពីអង្កាំកែវនិងអង្កាំថ្មនៅយុគសម័យដែកនៅស្រុกខ្មែរ I'm going to talk about my research on glass and stone beads in Iron Age Cambodia, and I will try and speak I will speak in English and I'll try and speak in as much Khmer as possible, but thank you so much to Lok Chai Visot for helping translate for me also. So let's see. Before I begin, I just want to thank the many people and institutions and organizations that have helped my research. Soខ្ញុំសូមអំណរគុណអំពីសំណងអរគុណឲ្យក្រសួងវប្បធម៌សាកលវិទ្យាល័យខ្ញុំនិងមនុស្សច្រើនគេជួយខ្ញុំធ្វើការស្រាវជ្រាវខ្ញុំ Okay, so today I'm going to try to address these main questions. So first I'll ask about when did glass and stone beads first appear in Cambodia? Then I'll talk about the different kinds of beads that we find in Cambodia, where they have been found. Then I'll talk a little bit about how they've been made, where they came from, and if any beads were made in Cambodia. And then we don't really find many beads after the Iron Age period, so I'm going to discuss that question also. Why don't we find so many beads? So Tangaini, oh, go ahead.
Okay, okay, please, please, Alison, I'm happy to see you speak my. Okay, I'm going to help you in
Okay,
case that
thank you.
Okay.
In case I get stuck. So
Good.
ថ្ងៃនេះខ្ញុំចង់ឆ្លើយសំណួរនេះខ្ញុំចង់ឆ្លើយទី1អំពីតើអង្កាំថ្មនិងអង្កាំកែវបានមកដល់នៅស្រុកខ្មែរនៅពេលណាទី2ខ្ញុំចង់និយាយអំពីតើអង្កាំប្រភេទអ្វីខ្លះរកឃើញនៅស្រុកខ្មែរនិងខ្ញុំចង់និយាយអំពីទីតាំងស្ថានីយ៍បុរាណដែលយើងរកឃើញអង្កាំថ្មនិងអង្កាំកែវនិងមួយទៀតខ្ញុំចង់និយាយអំពីតើគេរកឃើញអង្កាំយ៉ាងម៉េចដូចម្ដេច and also ខ្ញុំចង់និយាយអំពីអង្កាំថ្មនិងអង្កាំកែវមានប្រភពមកពីណានិងបើយើងមានអង្កាំកែវនិងអង្កាំថ្មនៅស្រុកខ្មែរបើគេធ្វើអង្កាំនៅស្រុកខ្មែរនឹងខ្ញុំនិយាយអំពីឆ្លើយនេះហត់អ្វីបរិវិទូមិនសូប្រទេសឃើញអង្កាំក្រោយយុគដែក Is that okay? Okay, so ឆ្លើយទី1 or yeah សំណួរទី1ខ្ញុំចង់ឆ្លើយតើនៅពេលណាដែលគេប្រទេសឃើញអង្កាំថ្មនិងអង្កាំកែវនៅស្រុកខ្មែរ So I'm asking my first question, and some of the earliest glass and stone beads that we find in Cambodia are found at this site over here in Southeast Cambodia. In English, we call it Village 10.8. And this is a site that dates to about 400 BC, and it's a site with many burials. So Angkam Pama and Angkam Gayu Chachien, ke Cloud Rakun, now Titang Satani ni ke how Village 10.8 ru Pum Tap point from Bay. Bay. Now Azi Akane Angkam Ban Rakun Knong Kno Thankpi Chanam Uan Roy Mun Kosa. So here's some pictures. This site was excavated by Khmer and German team, and especially by Dr. Heng Sopadi worked on the site. It's in Kampong Cham province. And as I mentioned, some of the early burials there date to 400 BC and then all the way to 50 CE. So there were about 50 burials at the site, and there were several hundred glass beads, 209 glass beads, and 64 stone beads, different kinds, including agate, carnelian, and garnet. So you can see here some agate, and this is or carnelian, and then this is a garnet bead also on the slide. So whom top from Bay no Thai Kampong Cham, Nung Mopi from the Chanam Buon Roy Mun Kosa Dal Chanam Hasap Kosa. Nung Titan Satani, me and Pno surround, but I Pno Abin Chan. But I gave Rokan Ankam Gayu, Nung Ankam Pmo, no Knong Pno. Okay, So this is an example of what some of these very early glass and stone beads look like. So we have glass beads here that are in different colors. The dark blue color is very common, but there's some other colors too. And then we have these beads that are called carnelian and these other beads called agate also. So now good like me, mean angam tour ampi tmo piece ang yung ha mean tmo prophet B ទី1យើងហៅ carnelian ដូចនេះនិង agate ដូចនេះនិងអង្កាំកាយភាគច្រើនពណ៌ខៀវចាស់ដូចអង្កាំនេះ
Listen,
Yeah.
I just want to clarify this a little bit in Khmer because
Yes.
there is a terminology. សូមជូនអស់លោកស្រីដែរថាកម្មនេះបើខ្មែរយើងភាសាអ្នកដែលគេប្រើប្រាស់រំងាយគេហៅអាលើជួរខាងលើនោះរៀងជ្រុងហ្នឹងខ្មែរយើងគេហៅអង្កាំស្ពឺអាហ្នឹងណាដោយសារវារៀងដូចស្ពឺផ្លែស្ពឺអញ្ចឹងទៅយើងហៅអង្កាំស្ពឺហើយអាក្រោមនោះមានពណ៌សឆ្នូតជួតហ្នឹងអាហ្នឹងគេប្រើពាក្យ lot កាត់អញ្ចឹងអាហ្នឹងខ្ញុំតបចេះពាក្យហ្នឹងពេលយប់មិញហ្នឹងមើល slide Alison ហ្នឹងតែហ្នឹងអូខេដល់ពេលរៀងវែងហ្នឹងគេហៅ lot ហ្នឹងមានរៀងទៅវែងក្នុង lot ហ្នឹងវាមាន terminology បើគេទៀតអីចឹងណាព្រោះ lot ស្លាយ lot ពង lot អីតទៅទៀតបាទអញ្ចឹងអានេះជាពាក្យមួយដែល law ដែរដែលខ្មែរយើងធ្វើបដកម្មកម្មវាមិនសូវសម្បូរបែបនៅសម័យក្រោយក៏ពិតមែនប៉ុន្តែនៅពេលដែលរកឃើញយើងព្យាយាមបង្កើតឈ្មោះភ្ជាប់ជាមួយនឹងឈ្មោះរបស់ផ្លែឈើឬក៏វត្ថុដែលយើងប្រើប្រាស់ជាឧបករណ៍ដូចស្តៀងឧបករណ៍អីយើងប្រើហើយដល់ពេលអង្កាំ agate ពណ៌ក្រហមហ្នឹងយករៀងមូលខ្មែរគេប្រើពាក្យអង្កាំកខុបផ្លែកខុបណាអូខេអញ្ចឹងទៅអានេះគាត់ថាជូនជាពាក្យពេចមួយចំនួនដែលខ្មែរយើងបានកំណត់សម្គាល់ប្រើប្រាស់ទៅលើប្រភេទអង្កាំបុរាណដែលយើងរកឃើញភាគច្រើននៅភូមិភាគខាងពីយប់ជើងនេះតែម្ដងបាទអរគុណច្រើន Alison.
Thank you. So now អាយុដែរអង្កាំរកឃើញនៅស្រុកខ្មែរភាគច្រើនមកពីសម័យអាយុដែរនិងមកពីក្នុងភ្នំគេរកឃើញនៅក្នុងភ្នំនិងរូបថតនេះមកពីសារមន្ទីរបន្ទាយមានជ័យនិងយើងឯមើលឆ្អិនរូបឆ្អិននិងវាមានអង្កាំទីនេះនិងនៅទីនេះនិងយើងធម្មតាយើងរកឃើញអង្កាំដូចនេះនៅក្នុងភ្នំនិងមួយទៀតសម័យដែរយុគដែរពេលខ្លះនៅភាសាអង់គ្លេសយើងហៅ proto historic period. So now យុគដែរយើងមានតំណែងតំណងជាមួយអាស៊ីខាងត្បូងand ប្រទេស Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka និងនៅយុគដែរយើងបុរាណវិទូរកឃើញវត្ថុបុរាណយើងរកឃើញយើងចាប់ផ្ដើមអក្សរខ្មែរគេចាប់ផ្ដើមធ្វើប្រាសាទនិងគេចាប់ផ្ដើមធ្វើរូបចម្លាក់នៅយុគដែរ and so what I was saying is that during this period is when we have contact with South Asia and the countries of South Asia include Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. Of course, most of the contact is with India and also Sri Lanka. And this is the period when we start seeing the very beginning of cultural developments like early Khmer script, beginning construction of temples and temple architecture, and also the beginning of sculpture. And what this map is showing is that there's many different cultures, Iron Age cultures across mainland Southeast Asia. So as different people in Southeast Asia were coming into contact with Indian people or Indian South Asian ideas, there were many different cultures that developed from that kind of contact. Bisot, I don't know if you'd like to add. In Khmer, maybe it's a little difficult for me.
I think it's good. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So that angam propate away rokun now so Khmer, what kind of beads do we find? So you saw some of the very early beads that we saw at Village 10.8. Bantai, we have a lot of different sites from this period where we find beads across Cambodia. So you can see a map here of many sites, and maybe some of you are familiar with these places already. So Panti ni mi Panti titang satani boran yuk like nang now galang tara yung rokun angkam small nang angkam kayo now galang ni. Ja, okay, so the first kind of beads that are most commonly found are the glass beads, angkam kayu, and they mostly look like the kinds that you see here on this picture. They're usually all one color, but we find many different colors. So you can see all the different colors here. And they're a particular kind of bead that in English we call Indo-Pacific glass beads. And that is because we actually find these beads all across Asia and the Indo-Pacific region. So in many countries, we find beads that look a lot like this. And they're made out of a particular technique called drawn glass that I'll talk about in the next slide. So angkam gayoni, yes, anglais yung how angkam gayoni yung how Indo-Pacific beads. Nang now so Khmer angkam gayu pitran yung min Indo-Pacific angkam gayu dorni now titang satani trana nang wir toy riang mul nang mien I po. Yeah, so this is the kind of glass beads that we find. Oh, here we go. So the technique that we use to make this bead is called the drawn glass technique, and it's really common technique for making a lot of very small glass beads like this. So it was believed to be developed in India, and it begins with a small lump of glass that is in a furnace, and then what you do is pull out a long, thin tube of glass, and then you can cut that tube, slice it into tiny beads, and then often the beads are reheated just so the sharp edges from being sliced can be rounded. Visot, I think I need your help to describe that.
សម្រាប់បច្ចេកទេសនៃការធ្វើអង្កាំហ្នឹងគឺដូចជាបានឃើញរូបហ្នឹងមានន័យថាគេប្រើសារធាតុកែវហ្នឹងដើម្បីទាញវាឲ្យវាវែងដូចជាយើងឃើញក្នុងរូបហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងបន្ទាប់វែងប៉ុន្តែជារៀបបំពង់ណានៅកណ្ដាលហ្នឹងទៅបន្ទាប់មកបានគេយកវាមកកាត់ហើយនឹងក្រោយមកបានគេយកវាទៅកម្ដៅនៅសារធាតុដើម្បីឲ្យវាបាត់រំលាយវាអញ្ចឹងណាបាទ
Great. So now so Khmer ni prap ampi power.
Son, I think maybe the internet from your side.
Oh.
Okay. I think lost the part. Your internet might be low status. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't see the slide?
Yeah, we don't see the next slide.
Okay, hold on one second.
No, I can see the slide now. I can see the slide, but we missed the information because we cannot hear your voice.
Oh, okay. So this slide is next. As you can see this?
No, I cannot see your slide. I see only you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, again.
All right, I'll try one more time. Let's see here. Okay, yes. This one better?
I think it's good. Yes, now.
Okay.
But please full screen.
Now.
Yeah, it's
working. Okay. So this chart shows the different kinds of glass bead colors that we find at many sites in Cambodia. So you can see a site like Angkor Brai has a lot of colors, but in other parts of Cambodia, especially in northwest Cambodia, a lot of the sites have a lot of orange beads. And then at sites in Southeast Cambodia, like Village 10.8 and another site, Perhia, they had a lot of dark blue beads. So, រូបនេះប្រាប់អំពីពណ៌អង្កាំកែវនៅស្រុកខ្មែរនិងខ្ញុំចង់និយាយថានៅទីតាំងស្ថានីយ៍អង្គរបរ័យគេមានពណ៌ច្រើនប៉ុន្តែនៅព្រៃក្មេងលវានៅជិតអង្គរនិងភូមិសូពីនៅបានទាមញ្ជេគេរកឃើញអង្កាំពណ៌ក្រូចច្រើនណាស់នឹងនៅខាងអាកានេនៅទីតាំងស្ថានីយ៍ប្រហៀនិងភូមិ8គេរកឃើញពណ៌គៀវចាស់ច្រើន so there's a little bit of difference the គេមានពណ៌អង្កាំកែវផ្សេងគ្នា Okay so ឥឡូវខ្ញុំនិយាយអំពី agate and carnelian អង្កាំថ្មនឹងពីមុនវាសតប្រាប់អំពីពណ៌ប៉ុន្តែយើងធម្មតាយើងពេលយើងភាសាអង់គ្លេសយើងហៅ agate ធម្មតាពណ៌ដូចនេះពណ៌សពណ៌ខ្មៅចានឹងcarnelian នេះធម្មតាពណ៌ក្រហមពណ៌ក្រួយពេលខ្លះពណ៌លឿងSo the agate and carnelian beads, this is the same kind of stone, but we just have different way of calling the beads, different names based on the color. So the ones that are more red, we call carnelian, and the ones that are more brown or black or with the black and white, we call agate. So I love ខ្ញុំចង់និយាយអំពីតើគេធ្វើអង្កាំថ្មបានយ៉ាងដូចម្ដេច So how did people make agate and carnelian beads? It's usually a very long process, but it starts with you pick the stone, and there's particular kinds of stone people would select that are very good for making beads. So you can't just pick any stone. You want to pick a good quality stone. And then they would make the shape of the bead, and you would chip the bead into your shape. And then after this, oftentimes you would grind the bead, so you would try and smooth the surface, and then you would also drill your bead. So there's many steps to make a stone bead like this. So ពេលគេចង់ធ្វើអង្កាំថ្មធម្មតាគេចាប់ផ្ដើមគេជ្រើសរើសថ្មនិងគេចង់រកឃើញថ្មល្អគុណភាពល្អមានគុណភាពល្អនិងទី2គេធ្វើរាងអង្កាំ so គេធ្វើប្រហែលរាងមូលឬរាងផ្សេងនិងទី3គេរំលឹងផ្ទៃអង្កាំ so they smooth I don't know if I'm saying this correctly about to smooth the surface
Yes.
and then after that គេទី4ធម្មតាគេខួងអង្កាំនឹងប្រហែលពេលគេធ្វើអង្កាំថ្មដូចនេះប្រហែលគេត្រូវប្រហែលមាន like ច្រើនម៉ោង like it takes a long time to make a single bead where the glass beads you could make a lot in a short amount of time. Okay, so for stone beads there are two kind of general types that we see, and sometimes the beads are made really with high quality. So you can see one example here that has a very smooth surface, it has a very good stone. You can see how they drilled the bead, and it's very nicely drilled all the way through. And so we see some that are very high quality, and then sometimes we see beads that are low quality, more like these ones, where the facets are very uneven, the stone maybe is not so good, it has maybe some imperfections. The drilling, there's many like mistakes in how they shape the bead too. So we have these two types that we see sometimes in the archaeological record. So ធម្មតាមានអង្កាំថ្មពីរប្រភេទទី1មានអង្កាំថ្មគុណភាពល្អមានថ្មគុណភាពល្អគេបានធ្វើសិល្បកម្មល្អអត់មានគេអត់មានកំហុសប៉ុន្តែមួយទៀតយើងមានអង្កាំខ្លះគេប្រហែលអត់សូវល្អសិល្បកម្មប្រហែលអត់សូវល្អប្រហែលគេអត់មានថ្មគុណភាពល្អគុណភាពអន់ប្រហែលគេអត់សូវ what would you say, chiang, like they're not the expert at making the beads. Jamniang, yeah, they're jamniang, yeah, cái jamniang. So nhóm cô ta prahal miếng rung prahal cái miếng rung pseng theo club prahal cái miếng rung thua angam rung chiang con đượcល្អប៉ុន្តែប្រហែលមនុស្សខ្លះគេចង់ធ្វើអង្កាមស្រានប៉ុន្តែគេអត់ចង់ធ្វើអង្កាមជាមួយcon đượcល្អ so it's like it kind of seems like some people want to make really high quality beads and then some other places like workshops they just want to make a lot of beads but they don't care about the quality as much, they make a lot more quantity. I don't know if I explained that without, but please explain in Khmer if it's not clear.
ធម្មតាគាត់បានលើកមកនេះមានន័យថាគុណភាពបង្កម្មគឺអាស្រ័យទៅលើទេពកោសល្យរបស់សិល្បៈរបស់អ្នកផលិតនិយាយសួរស្ដាប់ទៅអ្នកធ្វើម្នាក់អញ្ចឹងទេក្រុមខ្លះគាត់ធ្វើដោយមានការជ្រើសរើសប្រភេទថ្មហ្នឹងល្អគុណភាពខ្ពស់ទៅហើយអ្នកធ្វើហ្នឹងក៏មានជំនាញខ្ពស់ទៀតធ្វើទៅក៏វាបានរបស់ដែលល្អដូចដែលយើងឃើញនៅរូបខាងលើនឹងស្រាប់ដែលមានគុណភាពល្អទាំងការចោះទាំងការរំលីងទាំងអីហ្នឹងគឺស្អាតមែនទែនប៉ុន្តែខ្លះទៀតទៅគាត់មិនជាខ្វល់ខ្វាយប្រហែលទេសម្រាប់រឿងសោភ័ណភាពនិងគុណភាពនោះគាត់គ្រាន់តែចង់ធ្វើកម្មកែវហ្នឹងអំពីប្រភេទកែវដែលថ្មដែលមិនសូវមានគុណភាពល្អប្រហែលប៉ុន្តែអ្វីដែលសំខាន់គាត់ចង់បានបរិមាណកាន់តែច្រើនប្រហែលជាអាចទាក់ទងនឹងរឿងលុយកាក់មានន័យថាគាត់គ្រាន់តែចង់ផលិតអាហ្នឹងឲ្យបានច្រើនដើម្បីលក់យកបានលុយតែប៉ុណ្្នឹងទេអញ្ចឹងទេបានយើងឃើញមានគុណភាពនៃអង្កាំដែលយើងរកឃើញនេះវាអាស្រ័យមានគុណភាពខុសគ្នាពីរសំខាន់ដូចដែលបានលើកពីខាងលើហ្នឹងបាទ
Okay, so angkam thmo nang angkam kayo mo pina. So there's some different techniques that we can use to understand where beads came from. And one of the main ways you can do that is to look at the composition of the beads. And so this is something that I've done for my own research. Look at the composition of the stone beads and then look at the composition of the glass beads. And I've done most of this work at the lab. It's called the Elemental Analysis Facility in the Field Museum in Chicago, USA. And the technique that I use is called LAICPMS, or longer laser ablation inductively coupled plasma mass spectrometry. That is a long word, so we usually say LAICPMS. And basically what this technique does is just takes a small sample of the artifact, so small that you can't even see the hole that it makes, and you can use that to understand the elements and the artifact and then the composition. So for this part, we thought I will need your help.
Okay, សម្រាប់ការដែលយើងវិភាគដឹងអំពីប្រភេទកម្មស្អីៗហ្នឹងគឺចាំបាច់យើងត្រូវធ្វើការវិភាគតាមប្រភេទម៉ាស៊ីនដែលគាត់បានកម្មរស្មីណា LAICPMS នេះដែលមានពាក្យពេញហ្នឹង laser ablation inductively plasma spectrometry មានន័យថារបៀបធ្វើតេស្តគេហ្នឹងគេយកអាសំណាក់ហ្នឹងខួងហ្នឹងចូលទូចមែនតើពីផ្ទៃរបស់អង្កាំសាច់អង្កាំហ្នឹងមកស្ទើរតែមិនឃើញប្រហោងហ្នឹងទៅទៀតដើម្បីយកទៅធ្វើការវិភាគរោគសមាសធាតុផ្សំនៃប្រភេទអង្កាំហ្នឹង
Thank you. So for the stone beads, the way we can try to understand where they came from is to look at the beads themselves and then compare this with the raw materials that people could have used to make the beads. So taking the raw stone that people might have used and then comparing the stone and the raw material geologic source with the stone. For the glass beads, what you can do is analyze the glass, and then from that you can learn the recipe and then compare that to different ancient workshops and the recipes that they would use to make their glass beads. So some Julie Brockbury.
Okay, សម្រាប់ការវិភាគទៅរកប្រភេទអង្កាំដដែលហ្នឹងសមាសភាពអង្កាំដដែលហ្នឹងគឺក្នុងករណីដូចកលុកយីហោថាបើសិនវាជាអង្កាំថ្មគឺថាអ្នកស្រាវជ្រាវហ្នឹងគឺធ្វើការភាគព្យាយាមរកទៅរកស្វែងយល់អំពីវត្ថុធាតុដើម នៃប្រភេទថ្មដែលយកមកប្រើប្រាស់ក្នុងកម្មនឹងហើយដើម្បីជាគោលសម្រាប់ទៅការប្រៀបធៀបហើយដល់ឡែកតកតងជាមួយនឹងកម្មកែវក៏មិនជាខុសគ្នាដែរមានន័យថាយើងព្យាយាមរកសមាសភាពផ្សំនៃប្រភេទសាច់កែវនឹងយកមកហើយយើងឃើញសមាសភាពផ្សំនឹងថាវាមានស្អីផ្សំមកនឹងបង្កើតបានជាសាច់កែវនឹងហើយយើងយកអានឹងជាគោលសម្រាប់ធ្វើការប្រៀបធៀបទៅកម្មក្រោយទៀតដែលយើងរកឃើញ
So what can we learn from this kind of analysis? And one of the first questions is where did the stone beads come from? So so when I did this research, I had only a very small data set to compare to the stone beads, but the geologic sources I used came from 2 places in India. They're part of this Gujarat province in India, and the stone from these sites are famous for being very good quality stone to make beads. So the place that people have used to make beads for thousands of years from this area in Iran, where they also were making beads from a source in this area. So I might need your help some more, Visa.
សម្រាប់ការស្វែងរកប្រភពដើមនៃប្រភេទអង្កាមអស់នឹងថាវាមកពីណាគាត់បានធ្វើការសិក្សាស្រាវជ្រាវតាមរយៈការសិក្សាស្រាវជ្រាវរបស់គាត់នឹងគាត់បានផ្ដោតទៅលើតំបន់នៅខាងប្រែកឥណ្ឌាខាងលើនោះខាងពីយប់នឹងសិក្សាតំបន់មួយចំនួនដែលវាមានល្បីល្បាញរឿងធ្វើនោះហើយបន្ទាប់មកគាត់បានបន្តទៅខាងបច្ចឹមបូព៌ានឹងទៀតនោះមានរហូតដល់ខាងអ៊ីរ៉ង់ហើយនិងអាហ្វហ្គានីស្ថាននឹងបន្ថែមទៀតជាប្រភពនៃការធ្វើកម្មធ្វើអីនឹងគាត់សាកល្បងវិធីទៅរកសមាសភាពចេញពីប្រភពនោះមកបាទ
ចានឹងមានមួយទៀតនៅស្រុក
Alison, we have problem with your voice, your sound.
Okay.
Again, repeat again. Okay. Because it missing of the sound. Okay.
Okay. So the 4th place that I looked at is this site is called Ban Khao Mogul in Thailand. This is another place that some people have thought maybe people use stone from the site to make beads. So Galang Tipuan no so Thai Chmua Ban Khao Mogul Titang Stani Chmua Ban Khao Mogul nang Manukla ke kota perha ke prao Mopi Titang Stani ni tambai for angkam tmo. Okay, so the kind of very quick conclusion that I learned from my study is that the beads that I looked at from Cambodia, I didn't look at all of the beads, but many of the beads that I looked at looked like they come from India, that they used the stone sources from India. So Kyamban Rokun Ta Angam Tmo Mopi Strok India. Samasapiat at Tmom now Strok India and Samasapiat now at Tmo Angam Mopi Strok Khmai Srodin Knia. Okay, so then I can address where did the glass beads come from, and so angkam kayu now so khmai nang Asia kane keban prao kayu chran ប្រភេទប៉ុន្តែមាន2ប្រភេទដែលសំខាន់ជាងគេ So in Cambodia and Southeast Asia there are a lot of actually many different types of glass, but there are 2 main types that are most important. So the first one in English we call potash glass, and that's because potash or potassium is an important ingredient in the glass, and the other one we call in English high alumina soda glass, and that's because there's a lot of alumina and soda that are important ingredients in the glass. so ទីមួយយើងហៅកាយភាសាអង់គ្លេសយើងហៅ potash ខ្ញុំគិតថានៅភាសាខ្មែរយើងហៅកាយកំបង I don't know if that's correct កំបងចាពីព្រោះកំបងជាគ្រឿងសំខាន់ណាស់គេប្រើពេលគេធ្វើកាយនិងទីពីរហៅភាសាអង់គ្លេសយើងហៅ high alumina soda glass ពីព្រោះគេបានប្រើ soda និង aluminum I don't know how if there's a better way to say that in Khmer maybe you can translate a little bit it's okay
we don't have that
okay so when we look at these two glass types we know that the high alumina soda glass seems to be made primarily in South India and Sri Lanka and it often is made in these many different colors here. The other glass, the potash glass, we actually don't know where it was made. Some people think it might have been made in China, but we also find that people are making beads in southern Thailand and also in South India. And so we can see that these have kind of different places that they're made, and also the potash glass are usually this dark blue color. So kayu yung high alumina mineral soda glass yung kata ke ban thua ang kam kayu now porte indi khang tabong nang now porte Sri Lanka nang ke thua kayu mien po charan doi ni pantai kayu prophet yung kayu kabong ru potash ធម្មតាគេធ្វើនៅគេធ្វើកាយកាយពណ៌ហៀវឆោះនិងគេអត់ស្គាល់កន្លែងដែលគេបានធ្វើកាយ potash បុរាណវិទូខ្លះគេគាត់ថាប្រហែលធ្វើគេបានធ្វើនៅស្រុកចិនប៉ុន្តែបុរាណវិទូគាត់ថាគេបានធ្វើអង្កាមកាយ potash នៅប្រទេសឥណ្ឌាខាងត្បូងនិងOkay, so this just shows you different types of glass that we find at these sites. So the orange color is the high alumina soda glass, and the blue stripe color is the potash glass. So you can see that at village 10.8 and Prohia, this is mostly potash glass. But at all these other sites, there's a lot instead. So group ni nasukmai pitang kla mean angkam kayu for be high alumina soda glass taran now pantai pitang ni ke mean kayu kabong and this is Paul Croix chia angkam kayu yung high alumina soda glass. Pantai now titang Tengpi village 10.8 pum top Prampai nang Prokia ke mien kayu kabang pantai ke mien kayu high alumina soda glass. Nang kinyum kata nasukmai panian tamnek tanong reng pum boran seng. So kinyum kata prahamien tamnek tanong na ke tek tong kayu kabong ban ke mien tek tong moi tiek ke tamnek tanong moi tiek nang ke tek tong high alumina soda glass chmui kania. I don't know if I explained that clearly.
That's okay.
Okay. So another question many people ask were glass or stone beads made in Cambodia. So ta angkam kayu ru angkam khmo ban thwer nau suk mai. And so I'm sorry that for people who are not Khmer speakers, this is all in Khmer. So the answer right now is that we do not have evidence that people in Cambodia were making stone or glass beads. We do know that people in Southeast Asia made beads out of other kinds of materials like shell and also softer stones like marble and another stone called nephrite. But we don't have any evidence that they were making beads out of hard stone like carnelian or agate. And we also don't have evidence that they knew how to make glass. So we do not think that in Srokmai that they were making glass and stone beads. So Bel Kinyam Chung Tlau Samnuani, Kim Kota, now Srokmai ke out for Ankam ke out on tour Ankam ថ្មនិងអង្កាំកៅពីព្រោះគេអត់ចេះធ្វើគេមនុស្សខ្លះមនុស្សបុរាណខ្លះគេចេះធ្វើអង្កាំពីថ្មផ្សេងថ្មភ័យប៉ុន្តែគេអត់ចេះធ្វើអង្កាំពីថ្មរឿងដូចagate ឬ carnelian និងគេអត់ចេះធ្វើកៅ so I'm not sure if you would like to expand on that at all, Visada, if it's okay.
Okay. ធម្មតាគាត់
Okay.
ខ្ញុំក៏ចង់បញ្ជាក់បន្តិចថាកន្លែងហ្នឹងរហូតមកដល់ឥឡូវយើងមិនទាន់មិនថាដាច់ណាត់ទេណាយើងមិនទាន់បានរកឃើញផុសតាងណាមួយដែលបញ្ជាក់ថាអង្កាំកែវឬអង្កាំថ្មហ្នឹងបានផលិតនៅក្នុងស្រុកខ្មែរទេវាច្បាស់ណាស់នៅក្នុងតំបន់អាស៊ីអាគ្នេយ៍យើងនេះវាមានការផលិតអង្កាំក៏ពិតមែនក៏ប៉ុន្តែអង្កាំនោះអាចធ្វើពីអង្កាំពីខ្យងពីវត្ថុអីផ្សេងទៀតដែលមានគុណភាពហ្នឹងមិនសូវរឹងបាទប៉ុន្តែពីគុណភាពដែលរឹងចេញពីថ្មពីប្រភេទដែលបានcarnelian ជាមួយនឹង agate ហ្នឹងប្រភេទថ្មពីរហ្នឹងគឺថាមិនទាន់មានដាននៃការរកឃើញថាធ្វើនៅក្នុងស្រុកខ្មែរឬក៏អាស៊ីអាគ្នេយ៍ណាមួយទេបាទអញ្ចឹងហើយអានេះក៏ខ្ញុំតែចង់បញ្ជាក់ដោយសារវារឹងពេកណាប្រភេទថ្មពីរហ្នឹងបាទ
Thank you អរគុណប៉ុន្តែនៅស្រុកថៃខាងថ្មងយើងបានរកឃើញទីតាំងស្ថានីយ៍2គេហៅខៅសំខេវនិងខៅសេកនិងគេបុរាណទីទូគេរកឃើញសម្រាប់កៅនិងថ្មពេលគេធ្វើអង្កាំប៉ុន្តែយើងឃើញថាមានមនុស្សគេមកពីស្រុកឥណ្ឌាគេសិល្បករជនជាតិឥណ្ឌានិងគេមកស្រុកថៃខាងត្បូងនិងគេធ្វើអង្កាំកៅនិងអង្កាំថ្មនៅខាងឌឺSo what I was saying is that we do have evidence in peninsular Thailand and southern Thailand that there's a couple sites where there might have been Indian craftsmen who came from India and settled in Thailand, what is now Thailand, and made beads, glass and stone beads there. And that's because we find the garbage or the waste material from making glass and stone beads at this site. Is that okay? Okay. So now we're moving into some of the final questions. And we have a lot of beads in the Iron Age period, but then after that, we don't find so many beads. So how do I game on Rakun Angam Krauyu Samai Dai? So what I think the answer to this question is because the changing burial practices. And we are beginning to see, but we don't have many burials with in them anymore. So Krauyu Dai Kinapata Manuparan ke chop deep no nang ke chabram twer bochia nang ke tochane yang roken angam thmo nang angam kai na phnong pno bi pro ke ra pno. Is that maybe you want to expand a little bit more? We thought
ចាសំណួរចុងក្រោយរបស់គាត់ទៅថាហេតុអីបាននៅក្រោយសម័យយុគដែកហ្នឹងយើងរកមិនឃើញអង្កាំច្រើនដូចមុនទៀតវាស្ទើរតែអត់ណាចម្លើយសម្រាប់សមត្ថកម្មរបស់គាត់គឺគាត់យល់ថាដោយសារទម្លាប់នៃការផ្លាស់ប្ដូរក្នុងពិធីបូជាសពហ្នឹងគឺផ្សេងគ្នាក្នុងសម័យយុគដែកអីនោះបុរាណអីនោះមនុស្សពេលស្លាប់ទៅក៏នាំគ្នាយកសពទៅកប់ដើម្បីទៅកប់ហ្នឹងទៅគឺតែងតែដាក់របស់របរប្រើប្រាស់ស្អីដែលសពធ្លាប់ប្រើប្រាស់ហ្នឹងទៅជាមួយជាដង្វាយដោយឡែកយើងក្រោយសម័យយុគដែកហ្នឹងយើងមិនសូវឃើញរឿងអស់ហ្នឹងពីព្រោះទម្លាប់នៃការកប់សពហ្នឹងគេបដូរពីការកប់សពមកជាការបូជាវិញលោះហើយទើបយើងឃើញមានផុសតាងសំណល់ហ្នឹងវាតិចតួចណាស់ទៅទៅនឹងកម្មក្រោយសម័យយុគដែកបាទ
So now samai angko yung rakhan kayu angkam jamduan tiktoy pno now galang premonti na angkam ni ke mapi we mapi premonti nâng nâu now Uncle Tom ke ba rakun angkam kayu tik tik pantai opmian angkam nyum bandal rakun angkam tma now samai uncle. So what I'm saying is that in the Angkor period, we do find a little bit of glass artifacts. So the ones in this picture are from a site called Premonti. I know also there's been some beads found in Angkor Thom, but otherwise we do not find very many beads at all. And I've never found or seen any stone beads that have been found from the Angkor period. So there's one more place there. There's one more place where we do find some glass beads, and that is in the Cardamom Mountains. In these jar burials, you can see an example here of these jar burials. They would have bone inside them, and then some of them also had glass beads like you can see in this picture. And this site dates to after Angkor period and the 15th to 17th century CE. So យើងមានទីតាំងស្ថានីយបុរាណមួយទៀតនៅភ្នំក្រវាញបុរាណវិទូបានរកឃើញអង្កាំកៅនៅក្នុងពាងនៅក្នុងពាងភ្នោបុរាណដូចនេះនឹងយើងរកឃើញអង្កាំកៅដូចនេះចានឹងទីតាំងស្ថានីយនេះពីឆ្នាំ15សតវត្ស15ដល់សតវត្ស17នៅសម័យក្រោយ
Hello, Alison. Oh,
kind of latest
it's hard to hear.
that we find glass beads. Okay, so
I just want to
review,
elaborate.
Okay, how about now?
I just want to elaborate a little bit because
yes.
We missed your sound, but I can catch up the context.
Okay.
ខ្ញុំសូមជំរាបជូនអស់លោកស្រីទាំងអស់គ្នាដែរថាធ្វើត្បិតតែសមត្ថកម្មដែលគាត់បានលើកមកថាក្រោយយកដែកនឹងនៅក្នុងសម័យអង្គរយើងរកឃើញអង្កាំកែវឯនឹងឬអង្កាំថ្មឯនឹងតិចតួចដូចអត់មានត្មងអានោះស្ទើរតែអត់ឃើញតែអង្កាំកែវអង្កាំថ្មនោះស្ទើរតែដាច់ពូជតែម្ដងប៉ុន្តែនៅសតវត្សទី15ដល់16នេះយើងបានរកឃើញប្រភេទអង្កាំកែវនេះនៅក្នុងភ្នោពាងបុរាណអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់បន្តិចណាពាងបុរាណនៅតាមរូងភ្នំជួរភ្នំកវាញនេះយើងជួរភ្នំកវាញទៅខាងពោធិ៍សាត់ណែហើយនឹងកោះកុងនេះអញ្ចឹងការដែលកប់សពនេះសូមជម្រាបអស់លោកស្រីដែលមិនបានដឹងពីបរិបទនេះដែរថាទំនៀមទម្លាប់កប់សពមួយនៅក្នុងស្រុកខ្មែរយើងជាពិសេសប្រហែលជាក្រុមបងប្អូនជនជាតិតិចនោះគឺមានទំនៀមមួយថាសពនៅពេលដែលសពខូចហើយក៏ប្រហែលជាអាចកប់ឬក៏ទុករលួយមកយើងមិនដឹងទេប៉ុន្តែក្រោយមកគេបានយកឆ្អឹងហ្នឹងទៅដាក់បញ្ចុះនៅក្នុងពាងបាទពាងធំដែលយើងឃើញនោះពាងឬក៏ល្អធំហ្នឹងដែលបញ្ចុះក្នុងឆ្អឹងទាំងលលាទាំងអីទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងហើយបានគេយកទៅដាក់នៅក្នុងពើងឬក៏លអាងដែលខ្ពស់មែនតើបាទហើយអញ្ចឹងទេអានេះសូមជូនជាបទសម្រាប់អស់ស្រីដែលមិនបានយល់ដឹងអំពីវិធីកប់សពមួយទៀតនៅក្នុងស្រុកខ្មែរយើងដែរប៉ុន្តែអស់លោកអត់បានដឹងតែរឿងបូជាឬកប់បាទអញ្ចឹងទេសូមជូនជាព័ត៌មានបន្ថែមទៀត
Thank you, Akon. Okay, so to begin to finish, I'm going to just review the questions and answers. So the first question about when did glass and stone beads first appear in Cambodia? The oldest site that we have right now is village 10.8 from 400 BC. So tao na phail na angkam mo nang angkam kayo pan mok tao na sa khmai nang knyom chamlai angkam pan ro khun knong snow thành pi chanam 400 mon ko sa no phum top 8 okay tp what kinds of glass and stone beads are found in Cambodia? And so most of the glass beads are the kind we call Indo-Pacific. And then most of the stone beads are the kind agate and carnelian beads, and some are high quality and some are low quality. so តើអង្គប្រទេសប្រភេទអ្វីរកឃើញនៅស្រុកខ្មែរនឹងទី1អង្គកៅមានអង្គកៅយ៉ាងហៅភាសាអង់គ្លេស Indo-Pacific ច្រើនណាស់នៅទីតាំងស្ថានីយយកបែកនៅស្រុកខ្មែរនិងអង្គថ្មធម្មតាធ្វើពី agate ឬ carnelian និងយើងមានអង្គគុណភាពខ្ពស់និងមានអង្គគុណភាពអន់អូខេទី3យើងរកឃើញតើអង្គកៅនឹងបានរកឃើញនៅឯណាអង្គកៅនិងអង្គថ្មនិងយើងរកឃើញអង្គកៅនិងអង្គថ្មនៅអាស៊ីអាគ្នេយ៍ប៉ុន្តែធម្មតាក្នុងភ្នំ so what we're saying is that most of these beads are found in burial context in Cambodia and Southeast Asia. And for the glass and stone, we think like the high alumina mineral. So the glass came from South Asia, and some of the other glass we're not sure. So angkam kayu na angkam thma mo pi na nang knyam kata angkam thma mo pi porte India. Pantai angkam kayu high alumina soda glass mo pi praha porte India ru porte Sri Lanka. Pantai angkam bong yung okay, were beads made in Cambodia that angkam mien for now srok mai te? No, but we think there could be some that were made in peninsular Thailand by people who came from India. So te bantai prahal kla ban palut no srok Thai kangtabong tawi silapakor India. India. And then as we just reviewed, we don't find so many beads after the Iron Age because it seems like people are changing their burial practices and they're not buried in graves with grave goods so much anymore. So hatawai boraditu man borotea kun angkam charan krau yu daik nang knyam chalai biprua manu ban chapadam bochia. Okay, so samto rahal knyam niya ato chaba thank you so much for your attention. I'm sorry about my poor Khmer, but if you have any questions or if you would like any more information, please feel free to reach me by email. And thank you very much. And thank you, of course, to Visot for your translation.
A little bit helpful for the process of translation for you, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
So do we answer any questions now, or is that
yes,
is there questions on Facebook?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Alison. Okay, so តាំងនាមអ្នកសម្រាប់ចូលកម្មវិធីបឋកថាសាធារណៈក្នុងថ្ងៃនេះនាងខ្ញុំសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណយ៉ាងជ្រាលជ្រៅដល់លោកស្រីវាគ្មិនរបស់យើងដែលលោកបានចំណាយពេលវេលាដ៏មានតម្លៃចូលរួមចែករំលែកចំណេះនិងជំនាញនៃការអំពីអង្កាំថ្មនិងអង្កាំកែវដែលបានរកឃើញនៅស្ថានីយ៍នៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាយើងហើយជាកិច្ចបន្ទាប់មកទៀតកម្មវិធីសំណួរនឹងចម្លើយហើយនាងខ្ញុំក៏សូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណយ៉ាងជ្រាលជ្រៅទុកជាមុនដល់ម្ចាស់សំណួរទាំងអស់ដែលលោកបានផ្ដល់ជាសំណួរជូនដល់វាគ្មិនយើងក្នុងថ្ងៃនេះហើយនាងខ្ញុំបានទទួលសំណួរពីសាធារណជនរបស់យើងដែលមានលោកគុណពន្លីលោកមាន2សំណួរលោកសួរថាសំណួរទី1តើបច្ចេកទេសខួងអង្កាំគេធ្វើឡើងយ៉ាងដូចម្ដេចត្បិតអង្កាំខ្លះមានរាងតូចចាខ្ញុំជូនសំណួរបង
Okay, Alison, you understand? The first question regarding to the technique of drilling the beads, because he's just wondering about that. And as you can see some bead, the size of it, it's very small. How can they do that? You know, the first question. And the second question.
Okay.
Just asking about the how can I say the materials that ancient people using as the string to connect the beads together for the rest or for the necklace. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. Samnula Anna. Okay. For angkam kayu ke at kuang ke at kuang angkam. So I think I'll need your help for this, Bisot. When they make the glass with when they make the glass with the tube already has a hole in it, so it's kind of like a straw that you drink out of. So the hole is already part of the glass. So that's for the first. Go ahead.
សម្រាប់អង្កាំដែលកែវដែលគេធ្វើមកហ្នឹងមានន័យថានៅពេលដែលគេធ្វើវាមានប្រហោងសាច់ទៅហើយនៅក្នុងនឹងដូចតយោណាអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលគេធ្វើទាញវាចេញមកវាមានប្រហោងស្រាប់គេគ្រាន់តែកាត់ទៅប្រហោងវានៅក្នុងនឹងស្រាប់តែម្ដងអញ្ចឹងអានេះអត់ចាំបាច់គូមិនទេបាទ
Yeah, and then for stone beads let me go. Okay. Angkam thoma da ke tom like they're tom krokron like ke young kuang bantai. Yeah, so it's okay. So you can see ke bra I don't know how you call this in Khmer, but it's like you put the bead in between the piece of wood, and that helps to drill even a small bead because you have it in English we call it a vice. I don't know in Khmer, but you put the bead in like this location and then it holds it in place so you can drill even a very small bead.
Okay. អញ្ចឹងសម្រាប់ថ្មវិញអង្កាំថ្មគឺដូចតែគាត់បានបង្ហាញក្នុងរូបភាពនឹងស្រាប់នឹងមានន័យថាដុំដែលគេអង្កាំថ្មវាមានទំហំធំគួរសមល្មមដែលអាចគេចោះរុនបានណាមិនថាធំប៉ុន្តែវាអត់ទូចខ្លាំងដូចអង្កាំកែវអង្កាំកែវវាទូចប៉ុន្តែអង្កាំថ្មវាមានទំហំល្មមតែគេអាចយកទៅគៀបជាមួយនឹងប្រឡោះឈើហើយបានគេចាប់ដើមស្វាន but that's the iron tool for the drilling
for this one when they drill the beads in India they have a small diamond so gebra the end of an iron tool and they use the diamond to make the drill
នៅឥណ្ឌាដូចជាគេប្រើអាផ្នែកស្រួចខាងចុងហ្នឹងពីពេជ្រណាពីពេជ្រដើម្បីខួងរុនហ្នឹងបាទ
Yeah. As for the string for that we don't know yet because I don't think we found any string yet so I don't atondang
សូមអធិស្ឋានដែរសម្រាប់សំណួរដែលតាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងប្រភេទខ្សែដែលអ្នកស្រុកអាយអ្នកស្រុកបុរាណនឹងគេប្រើប្រាស់ហ្នឹងតើគេប្រើពីអីគាត់ក៏មិនទាន់មានខុសតាងអីតែសូមការអធិស្ឋានដែរបាទ
Yeah ប៉ុន្តែយើងដឹងថាគេប្រើ sorry I forget in Khmer amboh is cotton right amboh and then silk also they might have used silk as well yeah
in Iron Age they have this already for silk and cotton for sure but for silk
the silk is a question because some people think that it might have already come there might already be silk but we're not so sure
សម្រាប់គាត់ថាទោះបីយ៉ាងណាក៏មនុស្សជំនាន់មុនហ្នឹងគាត់ចេះប្រើសរសៃអំបោះណាសរសៃអំបោះពីកបាស់អីហ្នឹងគាត់ចេះត្បិចចេះស្អីធ្វើបង្កើតស្លៀកបំពាក់អីហ្នឹងក៏មានតែជាអាចប្រើអានោះឬក៏សរសៃសូត្រប៉ុន្តែសរសៃសូត្រមិនទៅជាច្បាស់ប្រហែលដែរទេបាទ
ចា
the like okay actually another question regarding from our Facebook friends okay so any technique of assessment or for the antique and new beads production
yeah
to identify
it yeah so យើងទាំងពេលគេធ្វើអង្កាំកាយគេប្រើសមាសតិគេប្រើ they have like an old recipe that they used and so now they have a different recipe for the glass so it's very difficult to make the old recipe so we know when you look at the composition yung samasati kayu yung oh I'm sorry it's hard for me to think in Khmer but it's so you can learn from the recipe that if it's an old recipe or a new recipe because it's very hard to make the old recipe now for the glass for the stone for that you can look at the way they drilled the bead because the old method is very slow and now when people make beads they have a faster method with a machine and so it's not very I think a lot of people don't have the time or patience to use the old method to make the beads. So if you look at the way they drill the stone beads, sometimes you can see also.
Okay សម្រាប់ការវិភាគហ្នឹងច្បាស់ណាស់យើងទៅពឹងផ្អែកទៅលើការវិភាគវិទ្យាសាស្ត្រទៅលើសមាសភាពផ្សំនៃការផលិតកែវពីព្រោះការផលិតអង្កាំកែវសម័យទំនើបគឺមិនអាចមានលទ្ធភាពនិងសមត្ថភាពធ្វើគ្រឿងផ្សំហ្នឹងឲ្យដូចទៅសម័យបុរាណនោះទេគឺលំបាកខ្លាំងមិនអាចទៅរួចអញ្ចឹងអាហ្នឹងតេតងជាមួយនឹងកម្មកែវយើងអាចធ្វើការវិភាគបើមើលភ្នែកអាហ្នឹងខ្ញុំគាត់កំបានលើករឿងហ្នឹងណាប៉ុន្តែតេតងជាមួយនឹងថ្មថាតើយើងមើលដំណេចបណ្ដឹងថាវិចារថ្មីអាហ្នឹងយើងក៏ពិនិត្យទៅលើបច្ចេកទេសនៃការខួងដោយពីព្រោះការខួងដោយបច្ចេកទេសបុរាណគឺថាខួងដោយដៃអញ្ចឹងសកម្មភាពនៃការខួងចលនាហ្នឹងនៃការខួងហ្នឹងវាយឺតអញ្ចឹងទេរុនដែលទៅហ្នឹងវាអត់សូវ smooth ត្រង់ទៅពុំល្អទេប៉ុន្តែអង្កាំសម័យទំនើបដែលយើងធ្វើហ្នឹងដល់ម៉ាស៊ីនកម្លាំងខួងហ្នឹងវាលឿនជាងវាស្អីជាងទៅអញ្ចឹងវាធ្វើឲ្យអាស្នាមរុនហ្នឹងវារលោងវាល្អជាជាងស្នាមខួងដោយដៃអញ្ចឹងជាវិធីមួយដែលគេអាចពិនិត្យវិจัยទៅលើបច្ចេកទេសនោះដែរខួងបាទសំណួរ another question from Khut ករណាខឿតគាត់សួរថាគាត់មានសំណួរពីរ Okay he has two questions Okay. He said that all the beads, the remains are finding in Cambodian from the Iron Age until 7th century. Does all of these beads are importing bead or local ones? The second question, okay, how these beads are presented in Cambodia territory.
How are they presented? I don't understand.
How they why Cambodian have all of these beads in the country? Okay.
Oh, why do they? Okay. សំណួរទី1ខ្ញុំគិតថាចាអង្កាំកៅនិងអង្កាំថ្មមកពីស្រុកផ្សេងប្រហែលមកពីស្រុកឥណ្ឌាមកពីស្រុកស្រីលង្កាប្រហែលគេធ្វើនៅស្រុកថៃខាងត្បូងពីសិល្បករជនជាតិឥណ្ឌាប៉ុន្តែគេអត់បានធ្វើនៅក្នុងស្រុកខ្មែរចា so yes I think all of the beads were imported into Cambodia and that's because we just don't have evidence yet that there were any places where people were making beads in Cambodia. But we could find something in the future. But right now, I think they're all imported. For the second one, like why are there so many beads in Cambodia? ខ្ញុំគិតថាយើងរកឃើញអង្កាំថ្មនិងអង្កាំកៅនៅអាស៊ីអាគ្នេយ៍ទាំងអស់នឹងគាត់តាមមនុស្សបុរាណគេចូលចិត្តភាគអង្កាំដូច្នេះគេចូលចិត្តតែងអង្កាំ I don't have clearly, but I think it's just a lot. And so we find beads in Cambodia. Does that answer?
Yes, fine. But another question, you respond is already a part of your answer regarding to why we have all of these beads only for the part of the decoration of the human being, or just only for the dead people. But you answered already. But
yeah,
another question of Mr. Sudha, it's about the what kinds of how can I say purchasing that they are using, you know, for exchange the beads or to buy the bead into Cambodia, you know.
Yeah. Oh.
You know, currency, I think.
Yeah, currency. Yeah. That's a good question. So, yung kata perhake tektong I always forget tektong angkam perhake perhal like angkor like perhal sorry, I think I have to speak in English because I forget a lot of words in Khmer. Probably they are exchanging for many different kinds of products. So like maybe some rice, but also maybe like silk or fabric or cotton, or also maybe things from the forest, like different kinds of wood or like bird feathers or like animal skin, like deer skin. Those are some things we think maybe people would trade for beads.
Okay. ចឹងសម្រាប់ជាយោបល់គាត់គិតថាប្រហែលជាអាចការជួញដូរដោយប្រើប្រាស់អង្គឬក៏ប្រើប្រាស់ផលិតផលពីព្រៃឈើមានស្អីផ្សេងហ្នឹងឬក៏ជាស្បែកសត្វរូបលក្ខណៈហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងនេះជាលទ្ធភាពដែលគេអាចប្រើប្រាស់សម្រាប់ធ្វើការជួញដូរជាមួយនឹងអង្គកម្មបាទ
Yeah, but then there's some you like get aton mien loy, like so they would exchange for products not for money. Yeah.
Okay, អញ្ចឹងជាពិសេសគឺនៅក្នុងសម័យយុគដែកហ្នឹងយើងអត់ទាន់មានការប្រើប្រាស់លុយទេម្ល៉េះហើយលទ្ធភាពនៃការទិញកាមទិញអីហ្នឹងគឺតាមរយៈការដោះដូរបាទដោះដូរជាផលិតផលអ្វីមួយបាទ Well, Jan មានសំណួរអីទៀតទេពីខាងនោះ But Alison, for my own question regarding to the location of finding the bead, you know, mostly seems to be the northwestern part of Cambodia is the richest, you know, archaeological site that we found those beautiful glass bead and also a stone bead, you know. So why it's finding only this area, you know?
Yeah, well, I think it's partly because there's not been as much, there's been a lot of excavation in that part of Cambodia. And so that's where we find beads. But I think the more places that you look in Cambodia, you will find more beads from the Iron Age period. It just maybe in other places like around Angkor, everyone just looks at sites from Angkor and they don't look for the earlier sites as much. But when we look at Pre Kameng or we look at Lovia, Pum Lovia, we can find beads there. When we go to like Angkor Barai or Pruhia, like we find beads there. In Battambang, you can find beads from that area too. I think also because like in Phnom Penh, maybe not so many, there's like it's very difficult to do archaeology around Phnom Penh, so we don't find so many sites from that area. But I think it's probably everywhere. It's just that we haven't found haven't done the research yet in those places.
ភាសាខ្ញុំមានសំណួរមួយទាក់ទងជាចម្ងល់តខ្លួនហ្នឹងគឺខ្ញុំចង់ដឹងថាសួរទៅគាត់ថាហេតុអីបានអង្គកម្មហ្នឹងឃើញសម្បូរតែនៅខាងភូមិភាគពីជាប់នៃប្រទេសយើងនៅខាងប្រទេសមានជ័យស្អីនោះហើយចម្លើយរបស់គាត់ថាប្រហែលជាមិនអញ្ចឹងទេដោយសារកន្លែងនោះវាមូលហេតុដែលឃើញច្រើនដោយសារយើងមានធ្វើការទៅចំណាយធ្វើការ ជីកកអីទៅវាឃើញច្រើននៅក្នុងតំបន់ហ្នឹងដែលតេតូនជាមួយនឹងយកដែកនឹងប៉ុន្តែបើយើងមើលទៅអូបន្តិចម្ដុំភូមិលវាព្រៃក្មេងស្អីហ្នឹងទោះបីជាប្រធានបទរបស់គេមិនបានផ្ដោតទៅលើការសិក្សាស្រាវជ្រាវពីរឿងកម្មនៅយកដែកក៏ពិតមែនតែរឿងសម័យអង្គរហ្នឹងមែនប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេលដែលយើងធ្វើការស្រាវជ្រាវចំណាយអីទៅយើងតែងឃើញកម្មមួយចំនួនដែរតែពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងយកដែកហើយបើយើងមកដល់ខាងក្រោមអង្គរបរិយស្អីហ្នឹងក៏យើងបានឃើញដូចគ្នាហើយដូចក្នុងករណីនៅភ្នំពេញអញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាយើងអាចធ្វើណែកំណាយបុរាណវិទ្យាស្រាវជ្រាវបានក៏គង់តែនឹងឃើញដូចគ្នាប៉ុន្តែភ្នំពេញវាមិនអាចធ្វើទៅបានទេដោយសារយើងឃើញដំណើរឋានវាច្រើននិយាយរួមទៅគាត់ជាយោបល់គាត់គិតថាអង្គកម្មតែប្រើប្រាស់នៅក្នុងយុគដែកហ្នឹងគឺថាវាមានគ្រប់ទិសទីនៃទឹកដីខ្មែរយើងនឹងប៉ុន្តែយើងមិនទាន់បានប្រទះឃើញតែប៉ុណ្ណឹងដោយសារចំណាយយើងវានៅមានកម្រិតបាទ
Yeah.
Okay, Alison, I have a question from our non-Cambodian audience, Jenna Grant. She just asked, is there any idea about political or social organization that come from how the beads are found?
That's a good question. So yes, because in many places when we find beads in the burials, some burials will have a lot of beads. And so it seems like those might be very important people or very rich people. And some burials have no beads or some burials have just a few beads. So it does seem like when you find a burial with a lot of beads that it's a burial of maybe an important or a powerful person.
នៅសាមានសំណួរមួយពីចិនហ្នឹងគាត់បានសួរថាតើមានគំនិតឬទស្សនៈស្អីទាក់ទងនឹងរឿងនយោបាយឬក៏ការចាត់តាំងសង្គមឬក៏នយោបាយអីដែលពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងការប្រទះឃើញកម្មនឹងឬអត់បើតាម Alison គាត់បានផ្ដល់ឆ្លើយតបទៅវិញថាប្រកបណាស់វាត្រូវតែមានរបៀបនៃការរស់នៅក្នុងសង្គមណាឬក៏របបនយោបាយហ្នឹងវាខុសគ្នាហើយពីព្រោះភ្នូដែលរកឃើញមានកម្មហ្នឹងគឺភ្នូខ្លះមានច្រើនមែនតើភ្នូខ្លះមានតិចល្មមភ្នូខ្លះទៀតអត់តែម្ដងអញ្ចឹងហើយដែលវាបង្ហាញអំពីប្រព័ន្ធរចនាសម្ព័ន្ធនៃការរស់នៅក្នុងសង្គមឬក៏នយោបាយអាចជាមេកត្រៀងអាចជាអ្នកក្រដែលมันមានស្អីអញ្ចឹងទៅជាទេសកលជាស្អីអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងហើយបានភ្នូដែលយើងរកឃើញហ្នឹងវាមានចំនួនកម្មហ្នឹងខុសៗគ្នាអញ្ចឹងខ្លះបាទដោយតែគាត់បានលើកបាន
ចាបង
អីទៀតទេ
មានសំណួរពីខាងលោកសុនណាដាដែលគាត់សួរថាតើមនុស្សបុរាណផលិតអង្កាំមកដើម្បីលម្អឬក៏ដើម្បីធ្វើអ្វីដែរហើយហេតុអ្វីបានផលិតអង្កាំបងចា
តាមពិតគាត់ឆ្លើយហើយបន្តនេះចាំឆ្លើយម្ដងទៀតចុះa question from our college too he asking the main purpose of producing the bead just only for ornamentation or any other different purpose?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. It's hard to tell because it seems like people would wear the beads when they were living and they might have had an important purpose people when they were alive, but so it's hard to tell how were the beads used when they were living because we only find them in the burials after they've died. So it's a good question, but I'm sorry I don't know the answer to that one. But I think for many people, it seems like the beads might have been they were something to show that they had a high status or that they had maybe they had power in their community. Or also maybe that they were important people in their community, and so by wearing them when they were alive, they could show their status in their community. Kind of the way now we wear jewelry and clothes to show our status also.
Okay. សម្រាប់ចម្លើយហ្នឹងគាត់សំណួរហ្នឹងគាត់ពិបាកនឹងរកចម្លើយឲ្យត្រូវក៏ប៉ុន្តែគាត់បានផ្ដល់ជាគំនិតគាត់ថាដោយសារអង្កាំដែលយើងរកឃើញហ្នឹងវាស្ថិតក្នុងស្ថានភាពកប់ជាមួយនឹងភ្នូតែម្ដងយើងវាអត់មានព័ត៌មានអីផ្សេងទៀតលើពីនោះ ប៉ុន្តែសម្រាប់គាត់ការប្រើប្រាស់អង្កាំគឺវាបង្ហាញអំពីឋានានុក្រមរបស់អ្នកដែលពាក់នៅក្នុងសង្គមនឹងផ្ទាល់តែម្ដងនេះជាការយល់របស់គាត់ណាបើសិនជាវាកម្មច្រើនអីវាសម្បូរបែបទៅវាបង្ហាញអំពីអ្នកដែលមានជីវភាពទូធាហើយអ្នកដែលមានតិចតួចនោះបង្ហាញពីអ្នកដែលមានជីវភាពខ្វះខាតអីចឹងទៅខ្ញុំមើល Alison very interesting for this picture of the from Bayon or from somewhere, right?
Oh
With
yeah,
the
from
very
the Bayon.
beautiful necklace and maybe the bead too, you know. This is clear evident to show the status of human being in that time. Okay.
Yeah.
មាន
Okay.
មួយទៀតពីលោកស្រីសៅសុភាពដែរបងតើធ្វើយ៉ាងណាទើបដឹងថាអង្កាំមួយណាមានគុណភាពខ្ពស់
Okay, how you can identify the high quality between the high quality and the low quality of bead or glass bead?
Low quality?
Stone bead or glass bead?
Yeah, glass bead. Yeah, for the glass beads, it's kind of all going to be like it's all the same quality. But for the stone beads, you can see that generally you look at how long it would take to make a bead. So a bead that has a lot of, I don't know how to call in Khmer, like a lot of facets or a lot of like a complicated shape, a complex shape. So not just a simple round bead, but a bead that has many decorations on it. It requires a lot more time and work. And so when you find a bead like that, you can see if people were very careful and they took a lot of time to make the bead, or if they just do it very fast and they make a lot of mistakes. So it's like not symmetrical, it's not even, then you can see it's a lower quality usually. And also sometimes, sorry, one more thing is sometimes when they drill the bead, they break a little bit of it. And so sometimes you find a bead that is a little bit broken, but they still use it. So it's not as high quality.
សម្រាប់ការវិភាគទៅថារបស់អង្កាំណាមួយវាគុណភាពអន់ឬគុណភាពខ្ពស់ហ្នឹងគឺថាទៅលើស្ថានភាពរបស់អង្កាំខ្លួនឯងហ្នឹងតែម្ដងក្នុងករណីដែលដូចគាត់បានលើកថាបើសិនជាអង្កាំកែវគុណភាពដូចគ្នាអង្កាំកែវអត់មានបញ្ហាទេក៏ប៉ុន្តែបើសិនមកជាពីជាអង្កាំថ្មហ្នឹងគឺថាយើងត្រូវពិនិត្យទៅមើលលើផ្ទៃហើយនឹងរូបរាងរបស់វានឹងបើសិនរូបរាងរបស់វានឹងវាមានសភាពស្មុគស្មាញមានជ្រុងមានក្បាច់លម្អឬក៏មានស្អីនឹងវាស្មុគស្មាញច្រើនវាជាសញ្ញាមួយដែលប្រាប់ឲ្យយើងដឹងថាវត្ថុមួយនឹងវាត្រូវចំណាយពេលយូរក្នុងការផលិតអង្កាំថ្មនឹងក្របចេញមកអញ្ចឹងទេតម្លៃវាគឺច្បាស់ណាស់វាមានគុណភាពឬក៏តម្លៃនឹងខ្ពស់ជាជាងអង្កាំដែលធ្វើមិនបានចិត្តផ្ចង់ល្អជាពិសេសបើសិនជាយើងពិនិត្យទៅលើទីតាំងនៃរុនដែលយើងបានខួងអង្កាំហ្នឹងយើងឃើញហើយបើសិនជាអង្កាំហ្នឹងវាល្អគឺថាផ្ទៃដែលគេខួងទៅហ្នឹងគឺថាវាអត់មានស្នាមបែកប្រេះអីទេក៏ប៉ុន្តែបើសិនជាអង្កាំហ្នឹងវាមានស្នាមបែកស្នាមប្រេះអីទៅអាគុណភាពនៃតម្លៃរបស់អង្កាំហ្នឹងក៏វាធ្លាក់ចុះទៅតាមនឹងដែរអញ្ចឹងទេចម្លើយរបស់គាត់គឺសាមញ្ញគឺថាពិនិត្យទៅលើស្ថានភាពជាក់ស្ដែងនិងគុណភាពជាក់ស្ដែងរបស់អង្កាំ
Yeah, so you can see like on this one is like very smooth and very shiny and very even. It's like it's like smile like rup riang smile and now kang gram like means lots of like there's very I don't know in Khmer like in English it's kind of like very lumpy is not even it's not symmetrical so you can see these ones are not as high quality as this one
ដូចជារូបភាពដែលគាត់បានប្រៀបធៀបជូនអស់លោកស្រីនេះគឺថាអាខាងលើហ្នឹងវាចេញមកគេថ្ញង់ត្មងណានឹងទាំងស្នាមដែលខួងទៅមានឃើញឡើងភ្លឺថ្លាល្អរុនអីអស់ហ្នឹងបាទប៉ុន្តែខាងក្រោមវិញហ្នឹងមើលរៀងកម្មិចកម្មៅវាអត់ជ្រុងហ្នឹងវាមិនស្មើល្អអីអញ្ចឹងណាបាទអញ្ចឹងហើយអានេះដែលយើងអាចធ្វើការសន្និដ្ឋានបានច្បាស់លាស់ថាតម្លៃរបស់វាគឺទៅតាមនឹងឯងបាទ I think we have another. I don't know which is the last question or not, but it's just coming from yes our audience too. So do we have only one sources of finding the bead from the burial, not from the other sources? Any other sources beside the burial that we can identify or learn or understand about the bead?
Yeah, so you can find beads in places where people lived also, so like around the house. But most of the beads, we think people would keep them, put them in the burial. But sometimes you can find one or two in an area like around a house. If maybe someone broke their necklace and the beads fell on the ground, sometimes you can find them there also. And in some places, you can find the workshop where they made the beads also, and that helps us understand how the beads were made. Yeah.
Okay អញ្ចឹងចម្លើយរបស់គាត់គឺគាត់ថាក្រៅតែពីរឿងការកប់ជាមួយនឹងសពព័ត៌មានដែលទទួលបានពីរឿងកម្មហ្នឹងគឺថាយើងអាចរកឃើញនៅតាមលំនៅឋានមួយចំនួនដែរណាតាមផ្ទះសម្បែងឬក៏ប្រភពមួយទៀតហ្នឹងតកតងជាមួយនឹងកន្លែងដែលគេផលិតកម្មហ្នឹងតែម្ដងសំណល់ដែលសេសសល់ពីការផលិតនៅកន្លែងរោងជាងគេហ្នឹងគឺថាយើងអាចឃើញដែរបាទហ្នឹង
ចាដែរគាត់ចង់បន្ថែមទៅ
នៅទៀតទេក្នុង
មានបងចាដោយសារពេលវេលាយើងមានកំណត់ដែរយើងមានសំណួរមួយទៀតជាចុងក្រោយសំណួរពីលោកស្រីសតគុទ្ធាគាត់សួរថាតើអង្កាំក្រមួនហ្នឹងធ្វើពីក្រមួនរបស់សត្វឃ្មុំឬក៏ធ្វើពីឈ្មោះថ្មធម្មតាបង
ហ្នឹងខ្ញុំឆ្លើយបដ ாய் ទៅណាព្រោះណាអូខេអាហ្នឹងយើងធ្វើពីថ្មទេសុភាពអាហ្នឹងធ្វើពីថ្មទេបាទហ្នឹងហើយដោយសារខ្ញុំស្ដាប់គាត់ពីលើហ្នឹងណាអត់មានធ្វើពីក្រមួនឃ្មុំអីទេអត់បានយូរក្រមួនឃ្មុំមកលាយអស់បាត់ដល់ឥឡូវbut the last I think this is the final one we will stop after this one Mr. Sosoda again and he said that okay, based on the remains that we find out during the discovery of the burial in Sinai, you can see some burial, let's say the rich burial and the poor burial close by together or not far from each other. So, what based on that evidence, it doesn't mention about the special. I mean, okay. So this reveal that the way that ancient people bury their dead member of the family in the same place. They don't have the separate place. For example, place A only for the rich people and place B is only the poor people. But what we can see, it just like meshes up together. You know. So this is we don't have these kinds of okay.
Yeah, for the most part, that is correct. Yeah, I would say that sometimes there is some evidence that people would bury like the family all together. So maybe within one large family, maybe some members, like older members of the family might have more status. And so they might have a lot more. But if maybe other members of the family might not be as rich as others. So it's kind of like nowadays too, like sometimes, you have a rich uncle or something and that person has a lot more material than you, but you're all part of the same family and you might all be buried in the same place.
អានឹងពិបាកនេះដែរបើតាម យើងពិបាកនឹងទៅជ័យតែអានឹងតាមខ្ញុំគិតទៅណាគាត់ Alison ក៏គាត់ឯកភាពថានឹងវាអាចកប់ជាន់គ្នាឬក្បែរគ្នាអញ្ចឹងក៏ពិតមែនប៉ុន្តែបើយើងមើលទៅដូច case របស់ភូមិស្ងាយស្អីយើងលំបាកដោយសារកំណើយរបស់យើងមិនបានបើកឲ្យវាធំទៅឲ្យវាឃើញទាំងអស់ណាពីព្រោះណាមួយតំបន់យើងមួយចំនួនជីកកកាយចង់ខ្ទេចខ្ទីអត់ហើយវាពិបាកនឹងស្វែងយល់ទូទៅថាតើបើសិនជាយើងបានយល់ថាបើសិនយើងបើកការដ្ឋានមួយធំយើងអាចតឹងបានហើយថាអូខេអានឹងមកប្លុកនេះប្លុកអ្នកមានឬប្លុកនេះប្លុកអ្នកក្រប្រហែលជាអាចអញ្ចឹងព្រោះយើងឃើញបើសិនតែ I think based on the stratigraphic graphy from the excavation you can see the overlap together between the ancient layer and the uncle or pre-uncle or uncle layers overlap together, you know. So people may know, I may not know about the remains under the grave, you know. So,
right, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
ចាបងជាថ្មីម្ដងទៀតតាំងនាមអ្នកសម្រាប់សម្រួលកម្មវិធីដែលយើងមានពេលវេលាកំណត់ហើយក្នុងកម្មវិធីបឋកថាសាធារណៈនាងខ្ញុំសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណយ៉ាងជ្រាលជ្រៅដល់លោកស្រីវាគ្មិនរបស់យើងដែលលោកបានចំណាយពេលវេលាដ៏មានតម្លៃចូលរួមចែករំលែកចំណេះនិងជំនាញអំពីអង្កាំកែវនិងអង្កាំថ្មដល់សាធារណជនរបស់យើងហើយនាងខ្ញុំក៏សូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណយ៉ាងជ្រាលជ្រៅដល់លោកប្រធាននាយកដ្ឋានសារមន្ទីរលោកឆៃវិសុទ្ធដែលលោកបានជួយសម្រួលពីភាសាអង់គ្លេសមកជាភាសាខ្មែរហើយនាងខ្ញុំសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណដល់ម្ចាស់សំណួរទាំងអស់ដែលលោកបានផ្ដល់ជាសំណួរដល់វាគ្មិនរបស់យើងហើយនាងខ្ញុំសូមខន្តីអភ័យទោសនៅរាល់កំហុសដែលកើតឡើងដោយអចេតនាផងដែរចានាងខ្ញុំសូមអរគុណនិងសូមជម្រាបលានៅពេលនេះចា
Thank you so much, Alison.
Akon.
Kyra,
Thank
see you
you.
in Phnom Penh. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Bye bye.